What's going on, everybody? The Original Mako back with some more Gunfire Reborn content, and today we have the fourth and final installment of our Gunfire Reborn character ascensions tier lists. Obviously, only one we haven't done yet is the bird, and I know I've seen your guys' comments. You want me to add the words below the ascension, or do something like that. I genuinely don't have time to make my own tier list. I don't want to sound like I'm complaining because I like staying busy, but with a full-time student and 2 jobs, I kind of just, have to try to get these videos up and out whenever I can. So I really don't have time to do that, but I'm going to do the best to go back and forth between the wiki and the tier list and show you the description of the scroll before I put it onto the list to hopefully help out a little bit. That's like the best I can do. I'm really sorry. But I'll still read it out, and I'll show you guys this time to give you the visual of it before I put it on the tier list. But if you've been enjoying the content, be sure to let me know, comment, let me know what other type of videos you guys want to see. Be sure to subscribe to the channel. I'm sure there's going to be an update on the game soon, adding more content, so you're going to want to be subbed to the channel for that. That being said, let's go ahead and just hop into it, and we are going to go webcamless because that's what we've been doing for the whole thing so far. So, the bird, obviously, we're going to start with all the red ones first, just to make it easier to go back and forth from the wiki. So first one's first, this little punching the air guy, that is Nova Release. After each kill, +5 max armor for 6 seconds, and then then +10, then +15, and then on tier 3, you also, when armor breaks, you cast a Nova that damages surrounding enemies with a skill damage bonus. This is by far and away S tier. This is one of the best scrolls that the bird has, one of the best survivability scrolls. Once again, it's kind of along the same lines of that sustained fire on the dog, where if you're killing something every 6 seconds, you're just increasing your maximum shield every single time, infinitely, until you don't kill something within 6 seconds. And then at tier 3, it's every 8 seconds, and you're getting +15 armor. +15 for each kill, and it lasts at least 8 seconds. It's just, I've had multiple videos on the channel now, I think, where I'm over 1,000 shield at a time. It's so insane for survivability, and just a really, really, really good scroll overall on the bird. Next up is Hail of Bullets, which I will show here. After a reload, the first 3 shots deal +30% weapon damage, have +20% lucky shot chance, and consume no ammo. And it goes up to 5 shots, 90% weapon damage, and 40% lucky shot chance. Hail of Bullets is it works extremely well with specific weapons. The 2 that come to mind are Tiger Cannon and the Wild Hunt. I don't know why I couldn't think of the name, but the Tiger Cannon and Wild Hunt, because you just get extra shots before you have to reload, that also do increase damage and also have increased lucky shot chance. The reason this works so well is because it works the best with weapons that have low magazine and a slow fire rate, or low magazine size in general. Obviously, the Glimmering and Prism are kind of excluded from this, but the main problem with the Tiger Cannon is obviously you have to be constantly reloading. It does a lot of damage, but you have to be reloading all the time. Same thing with Wild Hunt. It does a ton of damage, and you have to be really close, but you have to be reloading all the time. Hail of Bullets takes that away and increases the damage and increases the lucky shot chance. So it's really, really good. It's not quite S tier because it doesn't work as well on high rate of a scalpel or a big hippo or something like that, but still does a very, very good job at increasing a lot of weapons DPS output and damage. Next up, we have Victory Rush, which is right here. After hitting an enemy at least 4 times in one shot, +50% weapon damage for 5 seconds, and it goes to after hitting an enemy at least 2 times in one shot, +150% weapon damage for 10 seconds. So I'm going to keep this up for a second. Hitting an enemy at least 4 times in one shot. Obviously, the things that do that are shotguns. But if you do get it to tier 3, then you can get every single weapon to proc this with Fisher Bear Paw, I believe. I am not 100% sure on that because I don't actually go for Victory Rush Tier 3 very often, and when I do, I'm normally not taking Fish or Bear Paw. But I think you can get that to proc every single time. Either way, most of the time you're going to be using this with shotguns. I'm going to put it in... Oh, hello? Oh, no. That's not good. Okay. Maybe. Oh. Okay, just being slow. I'm going to put it in C. It's okay. It's not something I would inherently just be avoiding all the time, but it's not something I'm going to go out of my way to take either. So it's just kind of a middle of the roads ascension, and it's definitely more situational than it is overall useful. We're going to skip all the way over to here because, like I said, we're just going to keep it color coded. I believe that is fully equipped. Yes, fully equipped. So after a leap, deal plus 75% weapon damage and skill damage, regain 20% armor and minus 1% or 1 second leap cooldown for each kill. And at tier 1, it lasts 2 seconds. At tier 3, it lasts 3 seconds, and you get 150, 50, and minus 2 seconds. So obviously, it's a very, very short time it lasts, but for that short time, you get additional things for every kill. You get your leap cooldown, which means you're going to be reprocking this sooner. You get increased armor right away. You kind of makes your E even more of an escape tool. If you're in danger, you press E, you get a little bit of armor buff, and all of a sudden you're not in danger anymore, and you have time to kind of get your wits about you again before you go for it, or before you head back in there with a full head of steam. And obviously the increased damage is really nice, and once you get it to 3 seconds, 3 seconds of increased damage is really good. So that's why fully equipped is going to go B. We're really spreading it out here so far. It's really good. It doesn't, like, Hail of Bullets can not break, but do wondrous things for the Tiger Cannon Wild Hunt, and it's really good on other weapons as well. Fully equipped is just a good, solid scroll to take. I would take it over a lot of other ones, but I don't think it's good enough. Like, it's overall good, but it's not great at anything. Unlike Hail of Bullets is great, Nova Release is overall great. Hail of Bullets is great for a specific thing. This is just overall very, very solid. Next up, we have, I don't remember what that's called, Last Stand. When armor breaks, 20% extra weapon damage, extra skill damage, extra rate of fire, and decreased damage taken for 2 seconds. So this is another kind of like get out of jail free card where your armor breaks, you're presumably in trouble, but now you get extra weapon damage, extra skill damage, your rate of fire is increased, and you take less damage for 2 seconds. It goes up to 5 seconds and 50% extra weapon damage. This is going to also go into B. It's very good for survivability. The goal with the bird, obviously, is to have your armor, not broken, but it's kind of just like a safety net for you. So hopefully you're not proccing it too often. So that's why it's kind of in B, because it's like kind of just a backup plan. It's not going to be your main focus of a run, most likely. So it's good, and obviously with Paranormality, it doesn't really help you very much. But it is a good scroll to have. It is a good safety net, but that's all it really is a safety net. So it's going to go B. And then our last red one we have Within Range, plus 40% damage against enemies within 7 meters. And it goes up to 120% damage and enemies within 12 meters. So the whole point of the bird is to be close ranged. So chances are you're going to have a lot of close range weapons. This helps cleave. Cleave damage is increased by this. So there's a lot of really good opportunities with it. But, and it's nice. All it is, though, is just a basic damage buff. And it's not even a 100% guaranteed damage buff. Obviously, if you're really close, you could make it guaranteed. But just a nice damage buff. It's nothing too crazy. 120% is nice, but it's not like busted or anything. So I'm going to put it in B. It's good. Once again, another solid scroll, but not something I'm usually going way out of my way to take unless I'm very specifically trying for like a cleave synergy, or I know for a fact I'm going to be using this Wild Hunt the whole run, something like that. But overall, it's a pretty good scroll to take, and probably more closer to A than it is to C. Next up, we're going with all the yellow/orange ascensions, and the first one here is, I should know, Absolute Advantage, right? Cleave has plus 2 meter AoE and deals 20% damage for every enemy within its range. So just an AoE increase and a damage increase on Cleave. All these ones are going to be really, really tough. So when this character first came out, the Cleave synergy was really, really fun. It was really good and a lot of fun to play with. And then after doing it so much, I became so sick and tired of it, and I realized that after Nightmare mode, it kind of just really falls off. Like in Nightmare mode, it falls off really quick unless you're getting easy kill, like first chest, essentially, or you're going out of your way to stack on easy kill if you get it later. And that's not really the way I like to play. It was fun for a little bit, but I might get some flack for this, but I feel like a lot of these are going to be lower in the tiers. I'm going to put Absolute Advantage in D just because all it does is help your Cleave, and unless you're doing a Cleave run, it's useless. Because your Cleave will fall off and is going to... I mean, you'll still probably use your Cleave occasionally to do a little extra chip damage, but adding this to your Ascensions, unless you're doing a Cleave run, is kind of pointless. Unless it's just the best option you have, which would be a pretty bad chest. But it's just not good, and I might catch some flack for a lot of these, but I'm putting Absolute Advantage in the D tier. Next up, I believe that's Fierce Wings. Yeah. So Cleave deals plus 100%, plus 200%, plus 300% damage, and after a Cleave, the next shot deals increased weapon damage. This one's going to go... I'm actually going to put this one in B because it is literally essential if you're doing a Cleave build. Like, this is a must-have. Try to get it to tier 3 if you can, and you can get some pretty good damage numbers out of your Cleave this way. But it also gives you a use outside of Cleave, which is after you Cleave, your next shot deals increased damage. So once again, if you're using a Wild Hunt, if you're using a Tiger Cannon, you get a huge buff to damage just for cleaving an enemy. So it's not just a one-trick pony, but it's really good at that specific synergy, which is a Cleave build, but it also has a little bit of use outside of that. So this one is going to get B, not too shabby. Next up, we have Death Mark. Cleave applies a Death Mark to enemies for 4 seconds. Marked enemies take plus 20% damage after killing a marked enemy plus 20% movement speed for 6 seconds. So this is another one that honestly, I'm probably going to put this one in B as well. So you get a lot of extra buffs to enemies that are death marked, and it makes the Cleave viable even though you're not killing things. Like, it makes you want to Cleave even if you're not killing something, because that enemy is going to take more damage. After killing it, you get increased movement speed. So having the death mark on enemies is really nice. I will say that getting it to tier 3 is not really that big of a deal. You kind of only need 1 tier of death mark to make it useful. It doesn't really scale super well as you keep going up. It gets better, but not like crazy better. So it is going to get B. It once again just makes your Cleave, it's not solely for a Cleave build. Next up, Easy Kill. Cleave deals up to plus 100% damage to enemies at low health. After killing an enemy with Cleave, permanent plus 5 Cleave base damage. This one's going to go C. Now, if you're doing a Cleave build, it's S tier because you literally need it within the first 2 chests. So, like, you have to have it. But if you're just doing overall runs, normal runs with the bird, unless you get it right away, if you get it in the very first chest, maybe take it. It might be worth it. But other than that, you're not going to get enough permanent damage increase to make it really worth it. And it's just not good enough to stand with these other scrolls. But it is going to go above some of the other Cleaves because of how essential it is for a Cleave build. Next up, we have Defensive Cleave. Cleave restores 10% /20% armor per enemy hit / killed, and decreases leaps movement by 1 second per enemy killed. So per enemy hit, you restore 10% armor. Per enemy killed, you restore 20% armor. And the leaps cooldown is reduced by 1 second for every enemy killed. So that's at tier 1. It gets up to 30, 60, and 2 seconds per enemy killed. This one's going to go C. Restoring armor is really nice. Obviously, it's another one that, once again, it doesn't have to specifically be a cleave build to get some sort of use out of it. So it's definitely better than absolute advantage. But it's nothing crazy. Like 10% is nice. 20% are rare. You're probably not going to be killing enemies super often with your cleave unless you're doing a cleave build. But 10% is nice. Chances are you're going to hit a couple of enemies. So you might get 20%, 30%. And the decreasing leaps remaining cooldown probably is never going to proc unless you're killing enemies, which once again is going to stop happening pretty quickly after the first area. So it's good. It's a nice little defensive bonus, but once again, nothing super crazy, but at least it has a use other than cleaves. And the last one, cleave has +3 capacity and restores 1 charge for each kill. I'm going to put it in C, but it's definitely leaning towards D. So it's only real good use is if you're doing a cleave build. But, and the reason I put this in C in the first place is because it's kind of the same thing with easy kill, where if you're doing a cleave build, you kind of need this. You need to be restoring your cleave every time you kill an enemy, or else you're just going to keep running out of cleaves. So it's kind of essential for that, which is why I'm going to put it here. It's kind of on the same tier as easy kill, but not as important. But it is very, very important. But outside of a cleave build, I would never really take it. So that's why it's going to go there. Next up, we're on to the blues. And first and foremost, we have Gigantic Explosion. Leap has +2 meter AoE and -20% cooldown. I'm a big fan of the leap stuff. This one is going to go B. Increasing the AoE is really nice. Lowered cooldown is really good. And at tier 3, it deals 120% cleave damage to all enemies within range. So it works really well if you're doing a cleave build, but absolutely don't need to be doing a cleave build. Excuse me. Oh, I had to get up at 6:30 this morning, so pardon my yawn. But you don't need to be doing a cleave build for this to be useful at all. The leap is kind of the most important part of the bird, considering that's how you get your armor back. Like, it's kind of a big deal. That's what makes the character so sustainable is the armor category. So I'm going to put that in B. Next up, we have Two Last Breath, which is leap deals +200% damage. Leap's remaining cooldown -1 second for each enemy it kills. I'm going to go C. It's good. Increasing damage is really nice, obviously. At the tier 3, which is +600%, you're going to be killing a lot of things. And at tier 3, it also just resets if you kill anything. So you can just be leap, 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 leap. You can just chain leaps together, which is a really fun thing to do. And it's kind of nice. On Nightmare and the third area, it will be kind of iffy if you're going to kill something or not. But that can still be a really fun thing to do. But I don't prioritize damage on the leap as much as I do AoE and just having a sheer base cooldown. This only does a cooldown if you kill an enemy, so if you don't kill an enemy, you don't get any extra benefits. This just gives a cooldown. So I'm going to put it a little bit below Gigantic Explosion, but it's definitely more leaning towards the upper side here. Next up, we have Steel Armor. After hitting an enemy with Leap, -50% damage taken for 2 seconds. And then at tier 3, after hitting an enemy with Leap, you convert damage taken into armor for 2 seconds. I'm going to put this in B. A kind of a get-out-of-jail-free card once again. The bird has a lot of these. That's why he's so good for runs, is because of how sustainable he is. And being able to leap and just turn all of the damage that you take into armor is kind of wild. Like, you literally just have to, if your armor breaks, just hit your leap, and all of a sudden you should be fine for a couple seconds, and you should have most of your armor back. And then hopefully maybe you have a little bit of cooldown synergy on your leap. You have your leap back by the next time your armor breaks, and you can just keep repeating this pattern over and over and just constantly staying alive. And even if you don't have tier 3, a massive damage reduction is still very, very good. Next up, we have armor enhancement after a leap, plus 30% or plus 30 max armor and plus 10% movement speed. At tier 3, it's 100 max armor and 30% movement speed and a 25% chance to be invincible for half a second after being hit for 6 seconds. So after a leap, this tier 3 or everything that you get lasts for 6 seconds total. Once again, more sustainability. It's going to go in B. It's not like super crazy sustainability, but it's really good. You get movement speed, you get armor, you get a chance to be invincible if you've got a tier 3. And it all lasts for 6 seconds, which is a good amount of time, probably enough time to recompose and honestly get your leap close to being back, if not back, by the time this is all run out. So armor enhancement, really nice, really good for staying alive, and one of the things that makes the character so good. Next up, we have regen hit. After a leap, restore plus or 40% armor if it hits, and 20% if it misses. At tier 3, you restore 100% armor. Whether it hits or misses doesn't make a damn bit of difference. I'm going to put this in A. I think this is the best sustainability ascension. And it's kind of a tough call, but I just, regen hit is just so nice because you don't have to worry about hitting anything. It's not a temporary buff like this that you're going to lose. It's not temporary like this, which you're going to lose. It's just if your armor starts getting low, you leap, and you're going to restore armor, whether you hit, whether you miss. It doesn't make a difference because normally you'd have to hit something to get your armor back. So if you're kind of scared and you're running away from enemies because you're getting like flamed by a rogue arsonist or something and you have to run the opposite direction, having this means if you leap to get away, you still get some of that armor back. And at tier 3, you get 100% of it back. Hit, miss, doesn't matter. Which is what makes it, which is a huge deal, getting 100% of it back. So obviously you'd want to try to get that to tier 3 if you're going to build it. And then the last thing we have is elemental power. Leap damage becomes elemental damage with a 50% effect chance, and I don't know if it's fixed or if it's random what element it picks every time, but it'll tell you what element. This one's going to go C. Having your leap do elemental damage with 50% chance to affect is really nice, especially if you start getting some cooldown. You can constantly have an extra elemental effect out there, but it does kind of depend, obviously, run to run, what element you get. Like if you're running a lightning build and you get a lightning leap, it's kind of like, okay, that's not great. But if you're running like a lightning build and you get a fire leap, all of a sudden now we're talking. So it kind of depends run to run. This one's kind of an iffy one. It could be an A tier. It could be a D tier, which is why I'm going to kind of just meet in the middle meet in the middle and put it in C. So that's it for the birds tier list. Very middle heavy. A lot of good scrolls that aren't amazing, but not a lot of bad ones and not a lot of amazing ones. Which once again just goes to show you how good armor really is and being able to constantly get that back on your time, not the game's time. Because the bird's got a lot of average scrolls, but still performs, in my opinion, the best if you're just trying to win a run. So that's it for the bird, and that's it for all of the characters' tier lists. All of their Ascension tier lists are done. Hopefully, there's going to be some new content added into the game soon, and we'll be able to do some more tier lists on weapons. I do want to do another scroll one at some point. The problem with the scroll tier list is it takes forever, even if I try to go quick. So we'll see what happens there. But hopefully you guys have been enjoying the content. Like I said, be sure to be subscribed to the channel because there's going to be plenty more Gunfire stuff coming your way. So thank you all for watching. I really appreciate it. Have a wonderful rest of your day. I love each and every one of your faces, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.